So I think there's a huge role that the banks have to play. But just in kind of summary, banks are normally supposed to actually or are expected to provide funding to the economy and grow at a rate of almost 3 times the rate of GDP growth. So if India grows at 10%, the banking sector in India will have to grow at between 25 and 30% a year to be able to fund India's growth. So that's the responsibility that the banks have today. I think on this note, I would actually summarize because...
I have a question.
One question here.
I have a question for Shekharji. Shekharji, I might want to disagree with you on the point that politicians in any case have helped this country grow. I think corruption, as you say that they are now scared of, corruption or such issues. I mean, the corrupt in this country still do get elected. And I think you mentioned Sukhram, correct me if I'm wrong, Sukhram also got elected while he was sitting in jail in that scam that happened. I think what has built India is, number one, we happen to be at the right place at the right time. I think when America was just started to understand the might of China and China was trying to flex their muscles. Where else could the West go and invest? I mean, where else could you find a middle class of 400 or 500 million people under one democratic elected government? So we just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And the second factor was, as my Shekharji, the gentleman, Ashwini, I think sitting on your right, said, that we as businessmen are lakkad hajam, patthar hajam. We can work under any circumstances.
So what is the question?
My question is that we are developing or whatever we are doing well is not much to do with the politician at all. It's the great Indian middle class that was being undermined ever since India got independent, and then after China we had to be the next country where they had to come and park their funds, because where else would they find such a large population?
No, I think in a way this brings me to the summary of the issue.
Please.
I think what we've kind of discussed.
Chanda, one question.
No, I think we'll take this as the last question because she's been standing. And
I
then
have
we'll
a
have
word
to
with
close
you. It's a nice discussion. We enjoy a lot. The problem is telling by the sir that we have problems regarding rural area. As ma'am said, that young generation doesn't have a patience. That's all. But making so many efforts, we are not able to up to the mark. That where is the problem and what's the solution? Could you analyze the fault exactly? That what should be the solution of the eradicating this problem? Are many Indians below poverty lines? The government said the line that they are the below poverty line. And do you have any solution for them? As the problem is discussed, but yet we didn't discuss any solution.
See, poverty is a very old problem.
And one more thing, ma'am. This is the Indian capital, okay, Delhi. We can see all are the good. But when we talk about the village, we see that where is the India future? It's like till when we will come to the point?
I get that. I think your questions are interrelated. See, poverty is a very old problem in India. Ever since there's been society in India, there's been poverty. But if you just look at the modern society in India, say in last 60 years since we became a republic, a nation, the pace of reduction of poverty has been phenomenally high in the past 25 years. It has unfortunately not been as high as it was in China during years of growth or in Korea during the years of their growth, but it still has been very high. And it's now becoming higher. Poverty is not increasing. Poverty is actually now reducing very rapidly.
Okay, when we talk about the education, the same is the problem.
Everything is linked. You see, everything is linked with the quality of your governance. Once you have economic growth, it creates surplus with the government. Government can then spend it, right? Then it depends on the quality of governance. If quality of governance is good, then taxes will be collected and they will be spent properly. That's why you need vigilant public, vigilant media, vigilant NGOs. vigilant voters like all of you to make sure that the money that is paid to the government is spent properly, because that is the only thing that will pass
you
forward.
have any
No, see,
expectation?
in a way it is interrelated, and therefore I would summarize. But an example that I could give you is again China, where if for 25 years the economy has grown at almost 9.5% per annum, the poverty rates have dropped from 53% 25 years ago to single digits currently. So, in a way, growth feeds on some of these issues, but some of these issues have to be tackled for growth to take place. So, I think what we discussed today is India is clearly at a sweet spot.
Okay, ma'am, there is a
The
growth,
global economy is...
That's very kind of you to ask so many questions, and your enthusiasm is absolutely brilliant. But I think we'll allow the panel to conclude.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's- I think... but, you know, the sweet spot is giving us a huge opportunity, both in relation to whatever else is happening in the world. So we relatively have a much higher opportunity. But not just that. India's fundamentals are giving us a great opportunity in terms of our demographic dividend, in terms of our ability to invest and create manufacturing capacity, infrastructure capacity. But of course, as we do that, will we face challenges? We will face challenges. We have to ensure we educate people. We have to ensure that the various models work. We have to ensure that implementation risks in the projects are taken care of. We will have to make sure growth becomes inclusive. We will have to make sure that it's not just education, basic healthcare, reaches the people, because otherwise, even if you give financial inclusion, if you don't ensure the basic health of people, if you don't educate them, even giving them loans does not help, because they have to be employable and they have to be of good health. And we have to therefore hope that services industries like technology not just contribute to growth, but provide solutions to some of these issues. And over and above that, this is going to be a volatile world. Commodity prices are going to be volatile. Capital flows are going to be volatile. So there's going to be a lot to do. But I think these are good challenges. These are challenges that can be that can be handled. These are challenges of growth. So I think a lot of it is in our own hands. That India today is at a point in time which does not come very often in the history of various nations. So it's all in our hands. Whether we turn many of these things like demographics and infrastructure into a challenge or into an opportunity. The way we implement it, the way we bulldoze our way through is really going to determine whether we continue to stick to our current rates of growth or actually take the nation to the double-digit rate of growth. And if the nation goes to the double-digit rate of growth, imagine the implication it has on each of your businesses. Because I just gave the example of banking, and I said, banking has to grow 3 times the rate of growth. There's a similar ratio that applies for each of your businesses. And therefore, the aspiration of saying that we are going to be 3 times in 5 years, we are going to be 7 times in 10 years, is all doable. It's all in our hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kochhar. A lady who sets standards which are 3 times the normal growth for her banking sector. A lady who is iconic as an entrepreneur, as a woman who has really made a mark in the field. It's not surprising that she's all of this. In the previous session, she said that women should not take on the burden of being super women, but I think she herself does not live up to what she says, and she takes on the burden of being a super, not just woman, but inspirational woman. May I invite Mr. Sridhar Iyengar to please to acknowledge the fact that she's moderated this session with such elegance and aplomb, and also that she had a previous session before this where she was greatly inspirational. We'd like to thank Shantanu Prakash, both for talking about how the Knowledge Capital Factory has a limit on time and inspiration for that. Mr. Shekhar Gupta, who is the editor-in-chief of Indian Express, who spoke of the political sweet spot as well as the fact that the voters are aspirational. Mrs. Neelam Dhawan, the person in charge at Hewlett Packard, who spoke of the future, the rural boom, and the fact that whether it's education or it's BPOs or it's even medicine, the way forward through technology will be wonderful. And of course, Mr. Janmejay Sinha, who has said already how people that he works with are looking at doubling and tripling outputs within the next few years, because India is the lowest cost provider for several products. So on that wonderful note, and enterprising India, enterprising panelists, enterprising audience, I'd like to say thank you very much. Your compere for this first half of the session, Shivani Pasrich, is going to take a back seat now. And after a break, when you return at 7 o'clock, you will have a new Master of Ceremonies taking you through the Data Quest Awards. Thank you for being with us for day one of TESS 2010.